Hey, music lovers, Sara J here. Looking for an inclusive space where you can connect with fellow fans, deep dive into your favorite music, and be a part of something special? Well, look no further. Join us on Patreon, where music and community come together. Get exclusive content, behind the scenes access, and a place to geek out over the artists you love, plus explore music you haven't heard yet. Come hang out with us. Patreon.com/DATC Media Company. That's patreon.com/DATC Media Company. See you there. A member of the DATC Media family.
I'm always forever, even I'm going to be 58 soon. Even at this older age, I'm still grateful and I realize that it's a bit of a gift that I've been given to be able to photograph all these different people over these years, right? And,
Absolutely.
I recognize that and I know it's special and I know it's unique and I am legitimately aware and awake and grateful.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
I
Well,
know.
let's talk about your event that's coming up on the 25th. I am so excited
Are you going to be there?
for you. Yes, I am going
Oh,
to
right
be
on.
there.
Good.
I
Excellent.
RSVP'd, so I will be there. I
Okay.
cannot wait. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited just to see a bunch of folks because we got a bunch of people that are going to be coming out too. So let's talk about this. First of all, let's talk about your book. So tell me about where that all started.
Oh, brother. There's always some genesis of it all. So
Always.
when I turned 50, I wanted to have an exhibition. I hadn't had one for a while. I've had a few exhibitions over the years, some really great ones, well attended. But when I turned 50, I wanted to do something special. I didn't know really what it was. And there's a guy up in Yorkville in Toronto, and he runs this gallery called Liss Gallery. His name's Brian Liss. And I'd been to a few exhibitions of his, and the big ones, he represents some really big photographers. And the ones that are most notable for me were Bob Gruen, who shot all through the 70s, lived in New York, still lives in New York. I mentioned earlier, he did stuff with Led Zeppelin. He did a lot of stuff with the Ramones and a lot of the punk scene, and then things with the Who. And he was always my number one favorite. Kiss. And then there was another one. Her name's Lynn Goldsmith. She did a lot of stuff through the late 70s, early 80s with Van Halen and uh, Aerosmith and David Bowie. So she was also a big influence. And then Mick Rock. Mick Rock, a British guy, but he'd worked all the way with Sid Barrett from Pink Floyd all the way up. And he did a lot of punk stuff. Lou Reed, Transformers, that's his photograph on the cover. He has the Queen, a couple of their album covers. So anyway, I thought, I'm just going to go to the top, even though this guy's not going to be interested in me. I want to talk to this gallery owner. And so I found someone who knew him. I didn't know him personally. And he set up an interview with me. And he said, I have 30 minutes. Tell him to come by. So I put together a little portfolio and I went up to the gallery and I met with them. I left 90 minutes later, not 30, 90. We got into this deep conversation about music and photography and who I loved. And I kind of left there with a bit of a deal. It was a bit more complex than that. It took lawyers because he's pretty high end. But I left there really thinking, oh, this is amazing. Like I'm in this pantheon of these other photographers. Not that I compared myself to their genius or whatever, but I just was really excited that I was involved in that same level. And so we ended up COVID came and we couldn't do the exhibition, so things kept getting pushed back and he got backed up because of whatever. COVID shut the world down for 18 or 2 years or whatever, 18 months. And so I never ended up having my exhibition until 2022, the very first exhibit I had. I couldn't tell you how old I was then, but it was another 4 years or whatever. And I've always wanted to have a book, but I just didn't know how you get a book or how you go about doing it. So Brian and I had talked about having a book, but we never had it in time for that first exhibit. But my first exhibit with him ended up being quite a hit. The room was full. We sold a lot of prints. Some high-end collectors came out. He had a VIP, like invite only thing for me in the daytime, and he invited all these collectors that collect prints from these other people that I'm mentioning. And he represents also Ron Wood, from the Rolling Stones. He does painting, and he represents the estate of John Lennon. So all these other big things. And so he brought these collectors in, and they ended up buying a bunch of my prints, and it built my confidence. It didn't make me cocky or anything like that, but it certainly added to my confidence. And so then I started really thinking about, okay, I'm going to start thinking about a book here. And, now we're in 2025, and we started talking about doing another exhibit. Maybe we started talking about it a year and a half ago or something. It's got to be more than a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. But he said, you got to have a book this time. The market's different. People don't have as much money as they used to. So, people will buy a book, but they might not be able to afford an expensive print or whatever. So he's like, you got to have a book. So I said, okay. So I started, doing research on how to make a book. And I didn't have time to go out to a real book company and try and sell it to book companies. We decided that we would self-produce it, the gallery owner and I, Brian and I. And so I've been working on the book for over a year as well, and it's a lot of work, man. I pulled photos all the way from '86, right, going all the way back to the Grateful Dead concert I was telling you about earlier. So now the book, it's 250 pages long. It has over 200 photographs representing about 180 bands, probably. There's a couple bands where there's multiple photos, bands that I've shot a lot. The Tragically Hip, for example, probably has 8 or 10 photos. Nickelback has a couple. U2 has 4 or 5 different photos. So, yeah. And then I wrote 27 short stories on bands that had some sort of influence on me. It might be a personal anecdote. It could be a professional. But I wrote 2 on the Hip. I wrote 1 on the Cure, 2 on Nickelback. I wrote Aerosmith, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, the Stones. I wrote 27 short stories, and then I wrote a lengthy introduction as well. And then I went to this kind of boutique book company in Toronto. It's very expensive to make a book, but I thought I got to do it. I want something, I'm not going to die tomorrow, but should something happen, I want something that's here for my kids that they can hang on to. And so now I'm going to have this book. It's in production right now. It might not be ready until the day or two before the 25th. So that's what's going to happen. The book is going to be completed. I have an amazing graphic designer that laid the whole thing out for me. Really great guy. One of my graduates from the program I teach in. He's from Columbia. He's incredibly talented. And so he did all the work for me. And the photos go up in a week or so onto the walls. There's, I think, over 55 photos that'll be on the walls for when you get there. So there'll be lots to look at. And there's a good array of music, not just 1 or 2 bands. There's a lot of everything from Tony Bennett all the way to Rush to,
How hard was that process?
What, deciding which photos go on the wall?
Yeah.
It's not easy because I honestly have so much, like there's so many things I could choose from.
Were there moments when it would wake you up at night? I know when I'm working on creative projects, sometimes it'll wake me up at night and I think about different
Oh yeah.
things. Oh yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah. And even the book, I've already made the book's called Our Immortal Stars Volume 1. And, that would allude to the fact that there will be a volume 2. And I've started making a list in my phone of who's going to be in volume 2 because I couldn't put them all in volume 1. There just wasn't enough pages, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't go beyond 250 pages because the book just kept getting more and more expensive all the time. Every time now I want a hardcover. Now I wanted some black foil on the cover. And every time you do one of these damn things, it just gets, the fee kept going up, right? So I had to stop at some point and we had to cap it at 250. But yeah, it was what goes on the wall, what went in the book has not been easy, but it's it's a bad, or it's a good problem to have, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and the exhibit will unofficially open on October 18th, and it goes all the way till November 29th. He added a couple weeks to it, which has been great. So if anybody wants to go early or late, if you can't make it, and then the 25th is what they call the artist reception and the book launch. So if anybody wants to go, you have to RSVP. The gallery isn't massive, so eventually we will run out of room. I think we're over 100 on the RSVP list now, so I think there'll be some point where they'll cap it.
That's
So
exciting.
if you and your friends haven't put your name on, please do. Um, and we're gonna put did you see that video I played the other night? That little
Mm-hmm.
intro video I have. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna play that again. Um, and then Brian and I'll do a little short interview, maybe 3 or 4 questions. Uh, we're not going to take up an hour of people's time talking, but we'll probably talk for 20 minutes or something. And then maybe if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. We'll probably talk about a few photos. And it goes from 6 to 9. Did I already say that? And then afterwards, my friend's band's playing at Grossman's, which is
Yes,
down on
that's what
Spadina.
Darren was talking about. I saw Darren at Steve Hackett on
Oh, yeah, Darren
Tuesday.
knows the same guys. Yeah.
Yes, and
And
Darren
you'll
was
dig it because they play all Grateful Dead.
all right. Yeah, he was like, I think this is what we're gonna go do, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm probably gonna have to get a room then because I have a guitar expo in the morning here in town before I head up to the
Oh,
to
my.
your event. So I was like, I think I'll get a room if we're gonna go to the show. So that's exciting. And I
Yeah, they're called Caution Jam. So it's going to be a really great night.
okay.
And have you been to Grossman's before?
No.
Ah, okay. It's this little smaller pub bar, probably only holds 100 people or so, so it's gonna be crowded in there.
I love it.
And these guys have been playing together for I don't even know, like 30 years or something. So, and Eric Pfefferman's a guitar player friend of mine, and he's incredibly talented. And yeah, it's gonna be good. So it's gonna be a good night. Come
Yeah.
out to my event, then we'll go down to Grossman's and have a couple beers and watch some good music. And yeah, it's gonna be good.
That sounds like a great time. Sounds like
It's a
a
good
great.
celebration the whole night. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And how exciting for you that this is, finally coming together and the book is happening and
Yeah.
really exciting.
Yeah,
Very
I'm
exciting.
I'm pretty thrilled about it all. It's been a lot of work, like all good work, but it's you have to be in the groove to make stuff like that happen. You can't be a passive participant. You got to be thoroughly, you've
Yeah.
even running a podcast, so you get it. You got to be active or it isn't going to happen. No
Yeah.
one's doing it for you.
You got to have that tenacity. Totally.
Great word. Yeah,
That's exactly
motivation,
what it is.
drive, tenacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of crap that comes up along the way, and you got to just tough it out and make it through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Well, let me ask you, did you enjoy my presentation of the Tragically Hip? Like, did you hear some things you didn't know?
I did. I really enjoyed your presentation. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming to our event. It means a lot that you came and that you were even there. It was really cool just to have so many people in one space and, supporting all the things and supporting everything that Jamie's done. So thank you. And thank you for sharing your stories with everybody that night. It was a lot of fun to really hear the behind the scenes of your experience of working with them in different capacities. Um, and you worked on my favorite album in Violet Light, which is just,
Hmm.
I think, their best album. I mean, we've had many heated debates about it on Sunday evening jams, but it's, in my opinion, their best album. So I was definitely excited to hear everything that you had to say about that whole experience. Um, but it was also intriguing to me what you had to say about the Woodstock 99 experience.
Hmm.
Not only, that was an iconic set for the hip, and if anybody has ever watched any videos from that, just the crowd with all the Canada flags and just everything that was Woodstock 99 anyways. You can feel the energy through the videos on YouTube, and those videos are how old? And you can still feel that energy from that set. So, I mean, I can only imagine what it was like being there in real time and, coming back to the energy of the crowd and the music and everything. But you touched on it just kind of very briefly, mostly because of time, on Saturday night, but about Woodstock 99 just as a whole and how everything that we've heard is true. All the craziness and all the shit show that happened is actually what happened. So I want to hear you expand a little bit more on your experience of being at Woodstock 99.
Well, I told you that night too. I was at Woodstock 94, and Woodstock 94 was great. The only thing it wasn't great, it rained a lot, so it was super muddy, but it was just such a wonderful vibe there. And it really felt like probably what Woodstock 69 felt like. Not, I know it was more, but it had more of that vibe. Woodstock 99, right when we got there, it felt tense. I could feel it. And it was all on, like it was on some Air Force base. So there's a lot of concrete and a lot of tarmac or whatever you call it, that kind of hard surface that the roads are made out of. And it was cooking hot. And it was hard to find water, and water was expensive. Maybe it was $6 a bottle, but if you think 25 years ago, a bottle of water for $6 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of, I don't want to paint anybody with a brush or whatever you say, but there was just a lot of dudes with no shirts on, and I'm not a tough guy. I'm just a artist. It's
Yeah,
not my thing to walk around without my shirt on and be, ugh.
for
And
sure.
and it was that type of music. And I said this that night as well. I love Metallica and I love the Chili Peppers and I don't love Limp Bizkit, but there
Right.
was a lot of more aggressive bands. So when you start mixing aggression, that type of crowd. It was a lot of male people. And the lack of water, the intense heat, and the heat kicking off the ground, and you're just asking for some degree of trouble, right? And you could feel the tension in the air. It was uncomfortable, and the organization wasn't as good as 94. I felt like it was very hard for me to get my photo passes and to get into photo pits, and I felt like they were treating photographers almost second rate, and I wasn't used to being treated like that. And I photographed at that point, I don't remember the number now, but I photographed the Glastonbury Festival in England 11 times. And
Wow.
Glastonbury is pure bliss. It's beautiful. It always rains there, but you're used to it. You wear rubber boots, you go there with wellies on because and it's Glastonbury's everything a festival should be. It's the most beautiful festival I've ever been anywhere. It's the greatest festival anywhere. I could just go on and on about Glastonbury. And Woodstock 99 was everything you never want to be at. It just, uh, but the band that was the true band, and I've seen other people say it, but I've been saying it for years, was the Tragically Hip. And it's not because I love them. It's not because I know them. It's not because I was working with them. They honestly were the greatest band there that followed the ethos they were just being them. They weren't trying. They just went on and did their thing. And the crowd was into it. The crowd was a lot of Canadians that were cool. And there was probably a lot of Americans that loved the Tragically Hip. So that was it. And to be honest, I would have even gone home after the hip. I didn't, but I would have. And then the fires started, and I could see them from a distance. And at the time, I drive a Volkswagen van, a 1979 Volkswagen van, and me and my buddy Paul he was the journalist, and we could see stuff going on in the distance, but probably as a photographer, I should have went out and photographed more of it. I took a couple pictures of the fires and some of the revelry, but I was more turned off by it, and I was almost annoyed and irritated and agitated to like, what the hell? What? Why? What? You guys are idiots. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why are you doing this? And after being at 94 and after being at 11 Glastonbury's and never seeing, I never even saw a fist fight at Glastonbury. Everybody loves each other there. And then this, I'm like, what the heck is this? This is brutal. And it was ugly. And I just wanted to go. And we ended up leaving early. I can't remember what time or when, but we did leave early, like Sunday afternoon or something. And I just felt like, see you later. I'm gone. This is dumb. And I've seen the videos and I've watched the Woodstock '99 documentary or whatever, and uh, I'm sure there's a couple of them. But everything they said on there, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how I felt. So that was my experience, and I hate to be Debbie Downer about it, but it wasn't great. And I've been to a lot of great festivals, and I've been to other European festivals and other American festivals and Canadian festivals and all the Lollapaloozas in the beginning, and those were joyous as well. And it was, I'd never seen anything like it, and I hope I don't see it again. I don't care to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my take on it. And maybe if you love all that aggression, it might have been your amazing place to be. But ripping the boards down and ripping the fences down, and come on, what is this? And I don't even think alcohol is a good enough reason to
It's
blame it on.
just
They hired the wrong bands.
that's what it was. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it was. It was not the
You
right
put me
band
in a
for
hockey
the
arena
right.
with Metallica, I'm going to be super happy.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't need to see that there because of that music's riling them up. Not that it's
Absolutely.
Metallica's fault, but
Right. But it's not
yeah.
helping the situation by any means.
Yeah, and then they had Corn, and I don't know, there was other heavy metal bands or heavy bands. I'm more of that jangly
That's how
extended
I feel. If we're
guitar
going to
solo.
a music festival, and see, I don't really love Metallica anyways, so I mean, that's just not my vibe anyways. But if I'm going to a festival, like I wanna, we're having a good time. We're out in the field, vibing, doing our thing, like doesn't need to be like that, guys. Everybody calm down a little bit. It's gonna be okay.
Well, the funny thing is, and you heard that story the other night, the first festival I ever photographed with the Tragically Hip, Metallica was a headline. So it was Metallica, Neil Young or Lenny Kravitz next, and the Black Crowes, and it goes down. And it was a great. Metallica was great that night. They were on the Black Album at the time, and people were into it. I didn't see any fights or fires or people tearing shit down. It was still a good, peaceful crowd. So you can't. It's not Metallica's fault. It was just the bad mixture,
It was
you
a
know.
mixture of all the things that were just not good times.
And
Yeah.
those promoters, sorry, but I think they were being a little greedy. They were
Yeah, I think
charging
it
too
was very
much.
capitalistic. It was much more
Yeah,
about all of that than it was. And because the underlying value of the festival to begin with wasn't that, in alignment with the original values,
yeah,
from jump and from start, that just kind of kept bleeding into everything else. And that's why what happened is what happened, you know.
yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
I
What
know
a
you got to make
harrowing
money, but
experience for you though.
hmm
Sure. Just
yeah.
being like in that with the people. Like were there any experiences that you had with bands like being in the pit or anything like that? Everything was like
No, I think I got hit by a rock in my back one time. Like people were throwing crap at the stage, and I feel like I got hit by something that was heavy enough to feel like a rock. So, but otherwise, no, I am pretty good at keeping my nose out of trouble and deflecting and staying out of the way and not getting in someone's way that I shouldn't. So, but sorry, you said, oh, is there ever a bad experience? I forgot. Yeah, Woodstock '99 was a bad experience. Yeah.
yeah.
But I've had so many great experiences that I kind of let that one go. You
Yeah.
guys are forgiven. I'm
Well,
okay.
and that was just kind of like a collective bad experience. It wasn't just sort of a localized experience for you. It was,
Yeah. And the Hip
everybody.
were glorious. They were amazing. Great set list. They played well. Gord sang well. Gord handled the crowd well. They were so good that night, that
It's an
day.
iconic set, and those are iconic photos for sure. Those are just
Yeah.
amazing photos. That one you shared during your presentation of him laying on the stage
Yeah.
on his
That one's been
back.
used a lot over the years.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
still have more. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. I still have all kinds of photos from that festival, even that I went through a lot for the presentation the other night, but I still have loads of hip shots that I haven't looked at for years, or maybe even in some cases haven't even gone through thoroughly because there's just, it was so much at the time. And I was shooting a lot, not just of the Tragically Hip, especially through the 90s of many, many different bands. So, you go do a press job, they would only publish one or two pictures. So you came up with your top five pictures, you bring them to the magazine, they would choose one or three, and then that's it. You move on. I'm shooting another show. Sometimes it was 3 or 4 shows a week.
Yeah.
And it just becomes this thing that you do, right? And you
Yeah.
put it away and don't look at it again.
Yeah.
So even the book process, finding pictures I hadn't seen or hadn't seen for years. There's going to be a cool Aussie shot that I don't think anyone's seen before. And I pulled that out of the archive that I hadn't looked at it since 1995. And that's going to be at the exhibit, and it's in the book. And I pulled a near Peart shot out as well, one that I overlooked, I guess. And it's a really great shot, and I hadn't seen it, or I didn't
Is that
recognize it
the
at the
picture of
time.
him with the drums, like the where he's sitting, the way that he's sitting, or is it a different photo?
It's a different one. That one's in the recording studio. I spent a day in the recording studio with them at
I really
Metalworks.
like
So
that photo a lot, the one that Jamie used in like the promo that he made. I picked that one out. I'm like, we're
yeah,
using this one. I really like this photo. It's a really great photo.
he was watching Alex and Getty goofing around with Ed Robertson from the Bare Naked Ladies. So he
Hmm.
was just kind of this little bit of a smile, and he was just watching those guys horse around. And I was trying to find a spot through all his drum hardware to get a shot, and then I nailed it, the spot, and then he just got this little smile, and that's when I grabbed the shot.
Oh,
Because
it's so perfect. He really looks like, he's really exuding the energy of a professor there.
yeah,
100%. Like it's
yeah.
so amazing how you could just feel that's just the energy. I mean, I get exactly from looking at that. It's just it's a great shot.
Well,
It's
thank
such a
you.
great shot.
It was like he was watching his two kid brothers goof around because
Totally.
those two are so funny. Yeah.
Totally. Totally. I'd
So,
love for you to talk a little bit about your teaching job. Talk a little bit about that, what that experience has been like, how you got into doing that, and kind of what you're
okay.
doing modern day in that field.
Hmm. Well, that's another interesting story because I was living in Toronto at the time. My children were pretty young at the time. And I was on the phone in a park talking to somebody about a photo shoot. And the call waiting came through, and it said Lambton College. And I thought, oh, that's weird. And then I seriously thought, I hope they don't want me to teach. I let it go to voicemail because I was on the other phone call. And so then I listened to the message. And the week before, I bumped into two of my buddies, high school friends that work at the college, and I was photographing Al Pacino that night at Fallsview. He was doing this talk, and so that's part of the story I'll get to in a second, but that's important to the story. And they were in Niagara Falls for a food festival or something. They're both foodies, and they're like, "Oh, are you in town?" And I met up with them, and I said, "Yeah, I'm photographing Al Pacino that night." So then anyway, this phone call comes through, goes to my voicemail. I check it out afterwards, and they're like, it was one of my friends. Like, they're thinking about building a photography program at the college. They want to know if you'd be interested in interviewing to be their SME, their subject matter expert. And so I called them up right away and heard them out. And they were in a meeting that Monday, and apparently the dean said, "Oh, we're thinking about building a photography program. Does anyone know a professional photographer?" And so my friends were able to say, "Well, yeah, we know this guy that we went to high school with, and we just run into him. He was photographing Al Pacino." So it probably made me sound like I was this giant photographer because I was photographing Al Pacino. And so I got the phone call. And then, so I went down for an interview because I thought I should hear them out. I've done a lot of cool things in my life, but I've never done this. And so I listened to him, and he wanted to know if I'd be interested in building the curriculum and the structure for a 2-year program. And I went home, and on the drive home, I kept thinking, this is so amazing because every college has a photography program. So this opportunity is never, ever going to present itself again. I need to take this job. So I took the job. They gave me 12 months to build the program. And that at the time was all I was doing. I never wanted to teach. I always been really shy. I didn't want to, I just never wanted to be a teacher. I only ever wanted to photograph rock and roll. But around the 11th month of me building the program, they said, we haven't hired a coordinator and or any instructors. Would you be interested in teaching and coordinating the program? And I thought, oh, I don't know, not really. I just wanted to build it. I didn't really want to teach. But then I started thinking, I'm gone a lot, not always around the kids as much as I'd like to be. I don't have benefits because I'm self-employed. I've always done fairly well with photography, but I always had to pay my own dental bills and all whatever. And so I just after some really deep soul searching, I thought, no, that's the right thing to do. Maybe I get off the roller coaster a little bit and settle down a bit and try being a teacher at least for a few years. And so the first year I was pretty nervous and shy and timid, and I'd never taught before. I had a lot of imposter syndrome going on. I'd walk in the room thinking, what am I doing here? Even though I do know more than them, I couldn't convince myself that I did. But I ended up really loving it, and I and I still teach now, and I love the program, and I love students, and I love seeing students with the little light bulb above their head and they're getting into it. And I love it when students make amazing photographs. And lots of times they make photographs where I look at it and go, how'd you do that? I don't even know how to do that. Like, way to go. This is great. And so now it's just this another aspect of my life that I really love, that I kind of probably almost passed up. And I tell a lot of those stories where I almost let it go, and now I'm so glad that I took it. And so I'm the coordinator. I'm one of the instructors. I teach the most classes of everybody, but not all of them. Um, and it's great. I'm in my 13th year, and we have pretty modest enrollment. I still wish we had more students. The one thing I like to brag about with our program is that all of our instructors are working photographers. So you've
Cool.
heard an interesting story from me, but if you talk to any of the guys I work with, or guys and girls, you'd be really blown away at what they do. Like, they're all accomplished and have great stories as well. They're not rock and roll stories, but they do their own thing, and they're all really, really like better photographers than I am. So we have a great team. Anybody who takes our program, I think, would walk away pretty happy because they're learning from. We don't teach from a textbook. Nobody has a textbook. We teach all from experience. And,
I love
you
that.
know, I shot the cult last night. I can come into the classroom today and go, okay, so this is what I did last night, and this is the problems I encountered, and this is how I solved them. And, you know, I have to have my work in 7 days so you guys that are late, you're doing this the wrong way, because I don't get to send my work in on 8 days. It has to be in 7 days. And
Yeah.
you need to learn that. So they're learning from people that are in the middle of it, right?
And that's the
And
best way to do it with anything, I believe, but especially with something like this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I get students all the way from 17, and my oldest student was 78. So we get a whole range of age. Yeah. And I love it. And I can't say enough good things about it. It's great. And I'm really happy. I miss as much rock and roll as I used to do. I used to do way more, but I still do a lot. And I still work for Nickelback. We still do big things. I do band shoots for them. I do album artwork. I do video stills and concerts for them. So I still get to do a lot of big band stuff. And then, as you know, I do the thing at Falls View. And I photograph the odd show here and there as well. But I'm not shooting 4 shows a week like I used to. So some days I miss that, but I'm in the right groove for my age. Yeah.
Yeah. For
And
those,
I'm a way better photographer now I teach.
I like that.
These these 13 years have made me a way better photographer. I always knew it, but I understand it way better now. Yeah.
It's amazing. What a special gift that you probably just never even had any concept that that would be a part of it.
I was going to say no. I didn't want
Yeah.
to teach. I was too scared to get in
Yeah.
front of people. Now you get
Yeah.
me up there, I can't shut up. I just want to tell them stories. But I
I love
really
it.
love it.
It was
Yeah.
always inside of you. It just had to push past the fear, and there it is.
Yeah, I'm just some big piece of granite that you need to chip away at a little bit.
I
You
love
know,
it.
Yeah, because I can be a bit blockheaded sometimes, for sure. Uh,
That's just you being a human. How dare you?
yeah, maybe.
How dare you be a human being?
So anyway, there you. I think you know my whole story.
I think we covered a very decent amount of ground. I think we
Yeah.
did well. Is there anything you think that we didn't touch on that you want to
No,
chat about?
but I do want to take the moment to say, let's go back to JD and Jeff Schnur. He's the one who introduced me to JD, and JD's I've only known him for a couple weeks now, but he's a big sweetheart, and I know he worked his butt off, and I know you worked your butt off to make all that happen. So, it's a good opportunity for me to say thank you to you and JD and to Jeff for introducing me to you guys, and that was a great honor for me, and I'd love to do it again if you ever hear of an opportunity that they want to hear about the Tragic Late for an hour. But I'm so grateful to be involved, and the fact that it was for ALS is a big deal, and um, it was great. It was awesome, and it was one of the most important and biggest things I've done. It definitely is one of those pinnacles in a row of mountains that I'll never forget. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. So that's how I think that's a good way to leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
thank you for saying that. It means a lot. It was, I keep saying to Jamie, it was like our wedding. It was just this big thing that we had been planning for a whole
yeah,
year, this whole thing, him and I, and blood, sweat, and tears behind the scenes, and we pulled it off, and
I can
everybody had a great
imagine.
time. And so thank you for being a part of that. We really appreciate it. So, and we had a
My
blast.
pleasure.
We know how to throw
Yeah,
a
we
party.
did.
So we'll have to do it again
Do you
sometime.
ever? Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, before I let you go, please remind everybody of the event and where everybody can find you on social, website, all the things.
Well, the easiest way to find me is just to Google my name, Richard Beland, Beland, because you'll just find things that way. But if you go on Instagram, I'm at richard.beland. Facebook's Richard Beland Photography Incorporated. My website's richardbeland.com. I'm on Wikipedia. So I'm pretty easy to find that way. There's lots of my pictures online. And if you're interested in coming to the exhibit, which I'd love for you to do, it goes up, it opens publicly October 18th. It closes November 29th. If you want to be at the opening night, the reception, it's going to be like RSVP soon, please, because it will fill. That's on October 25th, Saturday night. And you have to email Brian Liss at lissgallery.com. But you can find all that online as well. And I'd love to see you out there. And if it's someone I don't know that's listening, come and say hi and let's meet. Because if you're into rock and roll, we're friends.
Oh, yeah. Buddies for life.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm really
Yeah, there you go.
excited to come and see your amazing artwork on the walls and come be a part of your special evening. It's going to be an awesome
Well,
time.
thank you, Sarah. I look forward to seeing you that night.
Of course. It's going to be so much fun. All right. Well, thank you so much for this. It's a
Thank
lot of
you.
fun.
All right. Well, thanks very much. And we'll keep in touch on email or social media or something then.
Of course. Always.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you
All
soon.
right. You got
Bye.
it. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Please be sure to leave a review of the show. It would mean so much to me, and it helps get this podcast into the ears of even more fellow music fans. If you're not already following the show on social media, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Dropped Among This Crowd Podcast, or check out datcmediacompany.com for more. Thank you again. I'll see you around these parts real soon. Mad love.